Joining us here to kick off hour number 2, let's get right to him because with franchise tags being able to be applied today, we just had Tom Pelissero talk about the quarterback carousel. Damn near half the league might be in need of a quarterback. And if they're not in need of a quarterback now, certainly with quarterbacks getting paid what they might get paid in free agency, I think you're going to see teams draft multiple teams draft quarterbacks this year, and you'll be like, "What is that? What gives with that?" I think
we're going to see 4 in the first round.
That's the idea as well. So here to help us kick off essentially our talent evaluation coverage. Combine 1 week from tonight. I'll be heading off to Indianapolis with the draft in Kansas City. Joining us here on the Rich Eisen Show is the founder and coach of the QB Summit and quarterback consultant extraordinaire, our friend Jordan Palmer, back here on the show. How you doing, Jordan?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Rich?
Hanging in there.
From Super Bowl, I'm sure that was a wild week.
It was wild. It really was wild and was a great game, right? I mean, how high of a level was the quarterback play in that game, Jordan?
I mean, when Patrick Mahomes had the second best game, it's really high.
Right? I mean, unreal. Exactly.
Yeah, Jalen did what I thought he'd do, which is rise to the occasion, which is kind of what he's, developing. It's kind of becoming a trend at this point. The lights were not too bright for him. The stage was not too big. Pat's been on that stage before, but yeah, it's exciting for the future of the league and obviously, for those two fan bases to get to that game.
And then let's start with a macro quarterback evaluation question based off of what we saw from Jalen Hurts. What is the it factor? Can you tell it, Jordan, where someone has the it? And that, sure, if they make the Super Bowl one day, guess what? They're going to be the first quarterback in the history of the game to run 2 or more in or throw 1 in, and it'll be done by halftime, like Jalen Hurts did.
Yeah, I think I've been around Jalen since high school, and I think his actual, unique trait is the combination of confidence, because you and I have talked, I think it's the most important trait in a quarterback by a mile. But he's got this element of, it's the combo of the confidence to play at the level that he did. He didn't accidentally play great, right? He didn't pull one out of the hat. No, he just played a great game. But also the humility. This guy, I'll be the first to say, when he was getting ready for the draft, I didn't know what round he'd go, but I sure didn't think second. I didn't think he could throw it well enough. Obviously Bama didn't think and he's just his commitment to get better. And I know that sounds like a fan hears us and go, well, they're all working hard. They all get better. Yeah, that's true. But some guys play at a high level and say, I'm not good enough, and they just completely recommit themselves. And so he's just a creature of habit, and he's a process guy. And I've told you this, the best athletes I've ever been around get behind their behaviors, they don't just lean on their talents. Mm-hmm. And this is a really talented player who buys into the idea of having, the behaviors and the patterns and the process and the routines to continue to get better. So I think Jalen's going to be a lot better in 2 years because of that, not because of his physical talents.
QB consultant and quarterback summit founder and coach Jordan Palmer here on the Rich Eisen Show. Let's get into this year's draft right now. What are you hearing? And I'm going to say, clearly your ears to the ground, and you hear a lot of talk, clearly, being in the business that you've chosen after your playing career. What are people saying what the Bears are going to do first overall with this pick, Jordan?
Well, I'm not sure. I think the most logical thing is, Justin has had, I think, 2 different coordinators, right? And we would not say an embarrassment of riches around him in that huddle in terms of talent. And so if you're going to stick with Justin, which is it's what I do, is stick with Justin and put playmakers around him. I would invest in playmakers, not O-line. Let him create time and space, which is what he's been doing since high school. But give him some guys who can win one-on-one matchups. And then from a scheme standpoint, how do we get guys across the field and how do we get guys with space to catch it underneath? That's kind of that recipe. If you have a mobile quarterback who can get rid of it quickly, I think that's the move. And then you got to limit how many times he's touching the ball or he's running the ball. And on top of that, he's got to evolve his game where he's not putting himself in harm's way. One of the things that doesn't get talked a lot about is, Russell Wilson for all those years used his legs as good as anybody, won more games in the NFL in his first 8 seasons than any quarterback. He also didn't take big hits. And Josh Allen early in his career took big hits. He's gotten better at not taking big hits. It's actually a thing you can get better at. but it's a thing you can only get better at in games because we can't simulate it or practice it. I don't have any drills. I don't tackle guys out here.
Right.
And so he has to evolve his running style. And ironically, a player who, if I was working with Justin, I would tell him, watch this guy's tape. And I've talked to a couple receiver clients and told them to watch this guy's tape. It was Matt Forte. I played with him in Chicago, and as good as he was, I never really saw him get smoked. You know, he just kind of ended up not taking big hits ever. So I think it's a learned trait, and if Justin can improve there, if they can improve the skill sets around him, then I don't think they need to roll the dice. And I'm not saying these quarterbacks are a dice roll, but drafting a young guy is a dice roll. When you've got a guy with really another 2 years until you have to decide on him, I think you roll with them.
Well, and I totally agree with you on that front, Jordan, but you know the way this business works, that to help Justin Fields the most, you've got to make it seem like you might not stick with him, thus you get the first overall pick traded for the absolute most you can get. Unless you fall in love with Will Anderson or Jalen Carter, then pull the trigger on them right off the bat and go to work. So the question is are the top guys in this class, you know, and I know you are coaching some of them up right now, do you think that they are top first overall pick worthy, Jordan?
I do. I think, you know, I've been watching Bryce Young since he was little. And, you know, his size is going to scare some people away. We'll see what the smoke screens end up shaking out. You know, who is okay with his size and who is not, that's probably not going to come out. Will Levis, who I'm watching get out of his 40 stance right now,
I love it.
Is a guy that there's going to be a lot of comparisons. Him and Anthony Richardson, they're going to get the Josh Allen comparisons because of their physical prowess and all that. But these guys played a lot of ball. You know, being a good student isn't relevant to me, but when you have like a 3.9 in the business program and then you get your master's in finance, then it starts becoming relevant. Like, okay, maybe this is actually a unique trait, how intelligent. And then CJ, another guy been around since he was little. Really, what doesn't get talked about with CJ is his personality and how he, you know, the leadership traits, and he's a dog, and I think you got to be one at this level. So you really got four interesting guys at the top. It's just going to come down to whether the Bears trade out of one or whatever. You know, is a team okay with Bryce's size because the game tape is just so exceptional and the level he's played at really his entire career, going back to his first high school he went to, all the way through Bama, has been at such a high level playing for Bill O'Brien, who's now an offensive coordinator in the league again. So I think that's just how it's going to shake out. But if you're the Bears, it's really, do you move to 2, you know, and then take that pass rusher that you have at the top, or if you move to 4, can you still get one of those pass rushers? And I think that's what, you know, Ryan Poles and the Bears are going to have a lot of time to think about.
Jordan Palmer, QB Summit founder and coach and quarterback consultant, calling in from one of his consultant sessions right now here on the Rich Eisen Show. Tell me more about Will Levis. Tell me more about him and his skill set and his readiness to play in the pros right now, Jordan.
Yeah, I think the thing it'll be well documented, and, you know, you'll see it in Indy a little bit just because there's not a huge opportunity to show off arm talent in Indianapolis the way that it's structured, but Pro Day will show it off. But he's got a lot of juice. He can absolutely rip it. Point of emphasis for him has been on the movement side of things, getting yourself to a consistent spot. So much about quarterback play, so much more about movement is so much more important in quarterback play than I think people give it credit to, and including NFL quarterback coaches. And so that's been a point of emphasis, getting them to a position where no matter what happens around them, they can do what they need to do when they throw. They can transfer energy efficiently, and they can do it with balance and fluidity so that they can have control. So, you know, Will has a monster arm. The focus is on touch balls and layer balls, just like, you know, the last couple of years has been with Josh Allen in my time with him, who I didn't need to show Josh how to throw the ball hard. He had that since he was little. What you saw in the jump for Josh Allen from year 2 to 3, and then continuing to get better, is just that control on the football when it comes to layer and touching. I just think with Will's buy-in, he's is bought in, and his work ethic is probably as good as I've seen at this age, maturity-wise as good as I've seen at this age. I just think that happens fast for him, that evolution, and I think he's ready to rock. I mean, he's done it at 2 schools. He's had 2 different offensive coordinators at Kentucky who were NFL offensive coordinators. So he ran a system that was most similar to what most NFL teams run. And so I think it's a quick transition for him.
Tell me about Hendon Hooker and his health. What can you lay on me here, Jordan?
Yeah, Hendon's in my group as well. And I mean, what the takeaway, and this will be unanimous, is this is just an unbelievable young dude. I mean, just super mature, has his stuff together, has a plan. And that just shows up in interviews. But from a health perspective, he's ahead of schedule. He's doing rehab out here. He ditched the crutches a few weeks ago.
That's good.
And he'll be, nowadays with ACLs, I mean, you can kind of put a date in the calendar when they'll be back. And for the most part, guys hit it, especially with the resources they have from a physical therapy standpoint and then the work ethic. So I think with Hendon, I don't know what that date is, but he's going to be looked at to be, probably healthy for this season and ready to contribute. And, the gameplay and the system they ran is, from what I'm hearing, is not as big of an issue because a lot of NFL teams are stealing from college in a way that college teams used to steal from NFL from a schematic standpoint. So 10 years ago, it would have been a knock that he played for Josh Heupel. Now people are interviewing him and asking him how they run choice routes, and pulling from that system and the pace of play. So I think he's another guy who can have a smooth transition. And playing at Tennessee and how bright those lights were this year, I don't see this stage going from college to pro being as drastic for him.
I've got Max Duggan on tomorrow. What do I ask him other than why did you do to my alma mater what you did? Outside of that, what do I ask Max?
Oh man, you're gonna love Max.
Oh, really? Because I didn't love him. I saw him in person at the Fiesta Bowl. Didn't love him at all.
No,
didn't love him. Didn't love him at all. But other than that, it's just personal.
You know who he is, and I know you love this guy. He's like Sam Darnold. He's just like simple, hardworking, treat people with dignity and respect. He's from Council Bluffs, Iowa.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So we started working together this offseason. He had never had a lesson. He'd never gone to one of those camps and trained with that guy, and never once. Played 4 sports in high school in Council Bluffs, Iowa. His dad's a high school football coach. He's just a simple dude who's just a fan favorite of. I got 5 guys in my group, and he's a fan favorite. And I mean, this guy, like, it's nowhere to go but up from here for him because he's kind of for the first time learning the why behind what he does, and that's coming off of a runner-up in the Heisman and national championship season, right? The final. So
right,
I refer to him as he is a pretty unbelievable ball of clay.
Okay, you're molding him. Last one for you on the before I let you go. DTR, tell me about this Bruin and what I'm going to see out of him and what his NFL comp might be. You got one on that front?
I will say this live on your show.
Yes, sir.
2 years ago, I didn't know. I don't know. Great athlete, great kid, but I don't know. He's a guy. I'm not saying because our month together so far. I'm just saying I've watched, won 9 games his junior year.
Yep.
This last year, back spasms in the bowl game kept them from winning. That would have been a 10-win season, right? And nobody predicted that this year because UCLA, didn't have a lot of stars around him outside of the running back. And so I think Dorian's a guy. Intelligence, played a lot of football. I think he's one of the probably top 10 playmakers in this draft in terms of just a dude with the ball in his hand, making something happen. But he's a pocket passer. And, he went to the Shrine Bowl. I think looked, there was a big gap between him and everybody else there. And from a velocity standpoint, I think people are coming out of Vegas at the Shrine Bowl and then, through the next tier phase of the Combine and then the Pro Days. I think Dorian is going to be one of the guys that rises as much as any quarterback in this class.
All right. What's going on with you're taking your summit on the road, 8-stop summit tour?
Yeah, I did it last year. I did a dozen stops around the country.
Okay.
I was running these camps out here, and 60% of the people that were coming from out of state. So Summit Tour, QBSummit.com. I have camp this weekend in Orange County, and then we hit the road for the next 6, going around the country, Orlando, Houston, Chicago, D.C., and, middle school and high school quarterbacks. I have a different approach. We don't do fun drills and gadgets and learn trick shots. The same stuff I teach some of the best players on Sundays and Saturdays is what I teach these young guys and teach them how to be a quarterback in every phase of their life, too. So love doing it. Love working with the regular kid, too, not just the elite guys. and this is the chance to do it.
All right, when's El Segundo going to be a stop right here? We can throw it around in studio.
2024.
Well, come on, let's do it. Let's figure it out. Let's get you in here in person, and there's lots of time to chop it up between now and the draft. And
I'll teach the quarterback stuff. You teach the 40-yard dash. We got a deal.
Done. Absolutely. I can help Will Levis with his time and his release and stuff like that. I don't know whether to be aghast, impressed, or just downright freaked out by the fact that Max Duggan did what he did to my school without any of that, all that teaching and stuff like that from back in his day growing up. It's freaking me out right now, man.
Some dudes just need a bag and a ball. You know what I mean?
He's one of them.
Just get out there and grip it and rip it. Yeah.
His post-game Big 12 press conference after they lost to Kansas State, where he just wore it all on his sleeve and just poured it all out. Can't teach that, brother. Can't. I love that.
Yeah, some guys, they're going to say the thing that's correct or that looks the best or that they feel like they should say. And then some guys are just incapable of BS. Like they actually can't BS it. They just are going to be on. He's one of those guys, like, I don't even credit him for his honesty. He's just incapable of BSing you, and I love that in players.
Last thing for you. I know I've kept you probably a little bit longer. Just give me a couple more minutes if you don't mind.
Yeah.
You're watching Trevor Lawrence throw all those interceptions in the first half of the playoff game against the Chargers. What are you thinking? What's going through your mind about one of your proteges?
I was thinking, heck of a year. Bummer it's going to end this way. So was just so pumped. Trevor's a guy, he just doesn't, like, emotion's not part of his game. I'd say the same thing about Burrow and several other guys.
Right.
Whereas there's been some great quarterbacks where the emotion is what caused them to throw that pick, right? They wanted it too bad, or they were so pissed about the last drive. They forced something. Trevor, Joe, I can name a long list of guys where Trevor just doesn't bring emotion into it. I think it's just, he could throw 3 picks or 4 picks or be down 21 or whatever. It's just 2nd and 4. You know what I mean? Like they're able to just be present. And I think, and I told him this last year, that experience, because before last season, I mean, the number was dumb. He was like 68-3 or something stupid between high school and college.
Right.
He had stability in high school with his coach. He had stability with Dabo for 3 years at Clemson. And then he was in arguably the most unstable environment that a young first-year rookie franchise quarterback has had to live through last year with Urban and all the stuff that went down there. I told him to earn it and definitely remind him now, like, that year will be as valuable as any because we don't really know who we are until we fail. Right? When things are going well, we can believe things but until we really fail, whether it's our fault or a combination of elements, like, we don't really know who we are, and it's not even about the media knowing who we are or the fan base. No, you don't know who you are until you really fail. And I thought that was just an invaluable year for him to go through. And the emotional comment that I made where I don't think he brings it to work with him, it showed because he just kind of reset and had a great turnaround year, and I think he's going to take another step next year.
I honestly thought Doug might have to pull him. I really thought that because it was just so I've never seen anything like it. It's the first time we've ever seen those many picks, and he kept him in there, and, I mean, what a turnaround. Unbelievable. Yeah. I thought he had to pull him.
Yeah, it was incredible.
You take care of yourself, Jordan. Thanks for the time. Be well.
Thanks, Rich.
You got it. That's Jordan Palmer right here. Fun stuff.
Love it.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.